and welcome back to the Witching Hour, our exciting delve into autumn and October, and it's the 8th day already, and I've got something special for you today, but first we're going to continue reading The Witchmaster's Key. This is Chapter 7, Curious Yanks. The Black Hound of Norfolk prowled by night, Robotham explained. Anybody he turned... No, let me start over. The Black Hound of Norfolk prowled by night, Robotham explained. Anybody he bit he turned into a witch. Joe shuddered. Looks like if I had a closer call than we thought, if I hadn't ducked, I might be a witch right now. Robotham smiled wryly. However, he went on, there's a genuine history about witchcraft at East Anglia, and I must tell you that the name Matthew Hopkins is ominous. Frank frowned and protested he hadn't noticed anything ominous about the real estate man from London. Joe agreed. Well, the point is that there was a man named Matthew Hopkins in the 17th century who called himself Witchfinder of East Anglia. He investigated those who were suspected of witchcraft. He used what Americans call the third degree to force confessions, and he executed many. You came through Chelmsford on the way to Griffinmoor? Yes, Frank answered. Exactly. Well, in the year 1645, Matthew Hopkins hanged 19 witches in one day at Chelmsford. But that's not all. When the Witchfinder General died, it came to light that he was a witch himself. Wow, Joe explained. The guy covered himself by pretending he hated witches. Robotham chuckled and said the people of East Anglia were shocked when they learned Hopkins was a witch. The Hardys noticed that Matthew Hopkins they were dealing with didn't look like a witch. Robotham held up a hand. That's what they thought of the Witchfinder General in Cromwell's time. You must admit there's a strange coincidence in the two men having the same name. I would advise you to be careful in dealing with any man called Matthew Hopkins. They were preparing for bed when they heard a scratching sound in the window pane. It was Nip Hadley who motioned them to let him in. When Frank threw the window up, Nip slipped over the sill into the room. Hurriedly, he told them of more sabotage at the Eagleton Green Artisan Village. He was afraid he might be accused of setting more fires. And I didn't even set one in the saddle shop, he said. Maybe you were framed, Joe said. Nip groaned. Framed, that's it. Will you blokes help me? Frank and Joe said they would do what they could to prove his innocence. A sudden thought struck Joe. Nip, are there any other witch collections around here? Stolen items might have been sold to them. Well, there ain't none in East Anglia, the boy replied, but there's one in London. The most famous is all the magic on the Isle of Man. Well, I'd better be off. Climbing out the window, Nip disappeared. What do you make of that? Joe asked his brother. I don't know. Why would anyone want to frame a boy like Nip, unless it's just to distract attention from himself? But why would anyone try to make all this trouble in the Addison village? Whoever it is, he goes through quite a bit of effort with firebombs and other equipment. It just doesn't make sense. Perhaps it's a crackpot who gets his kick out of setting fires, Frank said. At breakfast the next morning, Frank and Joe questioned Professor Rowbotham about the witch collection in London. He told them it was in Soho Square, not far from the Medmenham bookstore, so they could visit both the locksmith and the witch collection in one trip. They decided to detour to the train station by way of Dr. Borelli's office so he could examine Joe's gum. The dentist reported that everything looked fine. Doc, I'm glad I have your vote of confidence, Joe declared. We're going to London, and I'd hate to get a toothache in a big city. I have something you might like to have, the dentist replied, opening the trapdoor behind the dental chair. He climbed down into his workshop. A moment later, he reappeared with a couple of masks. The dentist had a droll expression on his face. I detect you detectives are mystified. Well, the Gravesend players wore these masks on stage last night. I have no further use for them. You might wear them next Halloween back in the United States. He handed one each to Frank and Joe. They were a stretch-type rubber mask with skin-tight fit. The features were those of two freckled-faced youths. The actors portrayed Scottish boys about your age, Brolly explained. The Hardy slipped on the masks and stared at the dentist. Perfect fit, he said. You could fool your own mother, not to mention the criminals you keep under surveillance. The boys pulled off the masks and pocketed them. Thanks, Joe said. Could we fool a witch? Borelli became serious. I don't know about a witch, but there's talk about what you're up to in Griffinmoor. The Gravesend players were discussing you backstage last night. They know you were at John Pickenbough's funeral, and were investigating the burglary at the Witch Museum. What do you think? Frank queried. Borelli grinned. I think you two cover a lot of ground in one big hurry. Better be cautious. Another patient needed attention, so they left the office and caught the London train. On arriving, they quickly located Soho Square, the international district of the city. They heard languages from French to Arabic. Chinese merchants peered out of dingy windows. Spanish sailors sauntered past. North African gold spectators conversed among themselves, and sleazy-looking characters buttonholed easy marks. Frank, I have a notion we could buy anything illegal in Soho, Joe remarked. Stolen gems, hijacked TV sets, forged passports, Frank finished the sentence. But there's Marshall Street and the Medmenham bookstore, and a sign that says locksmith. That's what we want. A small bell over the door tinkled as they stepped inside. The locksmith was a large, heavy-set, jolly man, who guffawed when they showed him their plaster cast. That's no key. It must have been a piece of scrap the masons dropped into the concrete when it was poured. And even if it was a key, the cost is too rough to work with. Frank and Joe could not convince him to try to make a key. But they did peek into his workshop because the door was ajar. They were fascinated by his suit of armor. The locksmith noticed their interest, and he said jovially, Boys, how about minding the shop for me? I have to step out a minute. Be my guests and look around. They eagerly agreed. As soon as he left, they pushed the door open and went into the workshop. A remarkable sight met their eyes. There were several suits of medieval armor. A pair of cross swords hung on the wall. A crossbow stood in the corner, cocked and ready to fire a steel-tipped arrow or bolt. A headsman's axe lay on the floor, its wicked blade gleaming in the dim light of a small window overhead. A battle axe was balanced in a vise with a file beside it. Darts and daggers littered the workbench. Joe stood spellbound. Frank, this guy must be a hip on medieval weapons. I'd say he knows about as much of them as Richard the Lionhearted. He should have been a crusader. Isn't there anything besides weapons in this room? Just then a noise made them stiffen. Click. The door snapped into place behind them. Whirling, Joe seized the knob and strove to wrestle the lock open. It refused to budge. Frank, he exclaimed, we're locked in. We're trapped. Ooh, they're trapped in the blacksmith shop, I guess. Those curious Yanks. I don't know. It's kind of different stuff. But, okay. Let's get on with our feature presentation, shall we? Okay, hey, welcome to Witching Hour Day 8. We are doing something a little different today. You notice we're not playing a video game. You probably listened to the recording of the book already, but we're going to be visiting a landmark in St. Louis and doing a little Halloween shopping today. We got all this traffic and stuff going on here. Hopefully the light will change, but we're going to be visiting locally world famous Johnnie Brock's Dungeon and Halloween Superstore. It's an old warehouse that was converted into a party store, and they have the best selection of Halloween decorations. Really, they have the best selection of decorations for any occasion, but I've only ever been there on Halloween or for Halloween. I've been there a couple times before. It always impresses me. They have some of the best stuff. So we're going to take a little tour of Johnnie Brock's. If I'm allowed to film, I assume I'm going to be allowed to film. I mean, if you're watching this, I probably was allowed to film, so it doesn't really matter at this point. But we're going to do that, and then we're going to go to... now I'll do some shopping. I'm not going to go anywhere else. But I want to do experiment with this. And let me know in the comments if you like this sort of thing, because for the Witching Hour, I was thinking at least once a week, or, well, whenever I can, really, I want to break up the thing so it's not just me playing games and reading the Witchmaster's Key, but it's going to be a lot of, some of these little trips, too, because this is what I really live for, is doing, like, this kind of stuff, like going places and actually filming experiences. I'm not like one of those really professional YouTubers who does that, all the time and stuff, but we're just going to sit here for a minute under the bridge with the Bobcat, and yeah, you can see it in the distance, maybe. I'm not sure if the camera's picking it up, but it's just right there on Jefferson, at the corner of Jefferson, where the ramp to US 44, and it's just this great place. We're gonna check it out. Here we go. This is it, and this is the whole experience you gotta do to get through here. I'm gonna probably keep the camera kind of low because people are people, and we're gonna see what kind of filming we can do. But it says "Smile, you're on camera." Well, smile, you're on camera. So this is it. It's the Party Warehouse. They're even hiring. Oh, they're hiring dungeon masters. I'm a licensed dungeon master myself. So let's see, no electricity basement. Hold
going to ask the question here. It says 5 years and older. And there's some zombies, and this is a lovely place. Now, this is my quick question, so you can always see party supplies. I'm going to ask the quick question of the staff about before I go start. You can get t-shirts and all that stuff. This is just the whole, they got the whole, the whole thing. You can get your trick-or-treat on here. So we're looking for specific things, but I'm just kind of showing what there is. You can already see the wide variety of items. Pretty much anything you could possibly want for Halloween is at this place. I mean, really, socks. You've never lived really until you've been. And then, like I said, they have other types of decorations, other types of holidays they do. I mean, have you ever seen anything like this where it's just an entire wall of makeup items and cosmetics? We are not looking for that, though. I mean, this is it, right? This is the dream. Any kind of character sunglasses you could ever need. I mean, look at that. That is. I'm here actually looking to purchase a wig, so we're going to have to look into the wigs and stuff. But I mean, you can go back into the costume. You can do all the kids' costumes you could ever want. We're not going to try to take too long here into the kids' costumes. But it's just to give you the whole scope of like what. You can get lost in here. It's a literal warehouse of Halloween. I'm kind of shopping and I'm also kind of doing this, but they have rentals, costume rentals. I think we're kind of back into the kids' costumes here. I don't want to spend too much time doing that, but I'm not looking for any kind of costumes in particular or anything like that. There's a wall of masks. Now what I do need to pick out is a good mask. I'm going to a wedding on Halloween, so the videos for that are going to be a little weird. One of the things I wanted to do was have some kind of a cool mask to wear to the wedding reception, like one of these types of masks. Now you can see a wide variety. Those cat masks are pretty cool, but I was just thinking something more like that, or like that with the raven on it. That's pretty cool. That might be the ideal thing. But we'll take a look around. There's also, like I said, a whole Halloween decoration section. I kind of rushed past the front part because it was full of people, but you never know. There's a gentleman over there. To avoid filming other people, that's the main. You need a costume hat. They've got you covered. You can be a shark. Pretty much anything you can think of. Literally, they have. They have those. So we're doing. You can be Chris Pratt and Charlie Day. I mean, everybody wants to be Chris Pratt. I just dated this video. The stuff in the. This place is pretty much just like the best place. Really can't go wrong. I keep thinking these mannequins are people. So I do want to look at like what they've got otherwise, but I hope you're enjoying this. It's there's not a whole lot, to see really. I'm trying to avoid, the closer I get to the front, you get back into the lake. This is where human beings. So every time I've come here before, this has been not just costumes, it's been filled with decorating stuff and like animatronics. And I'm actually kind of surprised I'm not seeing that here. past that friend didn't know something. But we're there might be in the back here. I might be needing to go back this way. No, I actually need to shop too, so I need to actually keep an eye out for things that I need, which are. We're gonna go back down this way because there's a really crowded aisle with a lot of people in it. I don't want to be filming people or their kids. There's a whole nother section. This is what I was looking for here. You realize it goes into another section. I mean, there's a whole wall of costumes of the characters from the upcoming Super Mario Bros. Movie. Okay, that joke's officially dead. And now, our friends and relations. And you know, employees. This is the employees' break room. People are. There's just more cameras. But there's definitely a section over here. Well, we just walked right by these friends here. Yeah, this is kind of more what I was looking for. Any kind of skeleton you could ever want. This guy right here does his thing. Captain Bogus. Now they got a whole car. It's the Coffin Cruiser, right? It's the Coffin Cruiser. You can get the whole thing. You probably can buy that display at the end of the season. Here's what I really was kind of getting into, like anything you could possibly want, like any kind of theme, and then it just continues on down. So I'm into, the whole works here.
Oh, look here, the other way. There's a longbow.
You want lights, you want spooks, you want all the sorts of the people. Now, this is the weapons aisle. I need to actually look for something like that too, but it's Spider Family. Everybody loves Spider Family. Family d'Orange. Pumpkin carving? How about a rubber cobra? I mean, this whole place is just everything is just great.
I'll bring a ladder back there.
And then this is just another aisle of costumes. And,
They are separate. I do have a ladder if you need a
Rest on the right there.
me and the Grim Reaper is here to check you out, and so I'll be back later once I have what I came here for. So that was pretty much done, but I found the whole next section of the store, and I met this friend, who's a very important friend. I forgot about the animal mask. There's a whole nother section here, so we're gonna have a look. I am currently making purchases and trying to find things. I think I had avoided this part because there was a lot of people. There's even Christmas and goblins on the ceiling. But there's even more stuff back here. You can get, any kind of headstone you want. Yeah, if anything you can dream up, really. Just looking at. Are you? Huh, I don't know. There's like this person here. It's either a person or a actual animatronic. I think it might be a person. I think these are just people doing a really good job. Home Depot's doesn't have the market on giant skeletons anymore. So any kind kind of skeleton you could ever want in here, really. I mean, if you need a skeleton, they've got skeletons. And they got a whole nother car here. Classics. My cat. And then they've got kind of the more serious and like realistic, and then they've got this whole wall of masks. And then, you know, just as I was starting to give up on this, the guy vacated down here, and now you can just see the entire. I'm just gonna give you this because I think this is important to behold. If you're looking for Halloween stuff, I mean, like I said, anything at all. You get anything you want, and it's not even Alice's restaurant. Back to this, but right near the front of the store. I couldn't see this before, but now apparently they're selling you back the vintage Halloween from your past. And you can buy all kinds of cool stuff. Like, that looks like the stuff that you had when you were a kid, you know? Of course. I'm already going to be purchasing some stuff. And I'll show you what I'm getting once I get back to my car. But yeah, this is what they've got. So it's a lot of options, and it's all here. So yeah, beautiful Johnny Brock's Dungeon and Randall's Wing Supplies, whatever that is. I'm gonna show you the true nature of what we have purchased here at Johnny Brock's. You can go to johnnybrocks.com to get some great stuff, or call 314 costume. We purchased ourselves a nice cavalry saber. That and this blue wig will be important for my costume this year. I'm going to cut this wig down and paint the sword. But I also purchased some of the Halloween, the vintage Halloween decorations. These are really cool. They're just like kind of stuff I had when I was a kid, so really cool. And this vintage Halloween streamer. It's pretty cool. It's all really neat stuff. So I hope that you will have a fantastic Halloween. Enjoy your day. And another witching hour is in the bag here. So yeah, we'll see you tomorrow for more spooks.